kick it.
Hey Slimesters, my name is Kylie.
And I'm Kat.
And welcome to The Girls Room. We are here to do something a little new for you guys. We know that women who love the 90s are out there, and we are here to represent them.
Yes.
And today we are going to talk about what we have deemed Makeover Magic, which is going to be the fashion, the trends, the everything that had to do with life in the 90s. Hair, makeup, accessories, everything that had to do with the 90s, which was just a bizarre time to be alive. If I've learned anything from looking back at everything. And I was like, oh, wow. But on the same side, it's coming back.
It's coming back. I was just going to say, it's coming back. I was in Target today and I saw like the crop tees with like the little jewels and stuff on them. And I was like this is, I feel like I can, this in 1997.
I feel like I can go to places like Target and recreate exact outfits that I had as a child.
Yes.
I know I'm almost 35. I know I am. But like, I feel like my mom's childhood didn't come back around as quickly as ours did.
I'm not sure, because in the 90s, there was sort of this time where like the peace sign,
the 70s started coming back.
The 70s and like the flowers, those started coming back too. So I sort of saw that as a resurgence of like the 60s, 70s.
That is fair. My mom and I are 30 years apart. So like, I guess that's about right. But
yeah, some of the flare leg jeans. It sort of came back then, and then it's sort of
my bell bottoms,
20-ish years.
The bigger, the better. But at the same time, when I was doing research, and even research, I lived it. But when I was looking into stuff, I kept noticing people talking about what you can get in thrift stores. What you can thrift currently is what's going to be a lot of the trends that come around. It seems about right. Like if you look, you can find a lot more 80s, 90s stuff in thrift stores. And the Y2K fashion, which I don't even want to talk about. We made those mistakes first.
Oh no.
Beautiful, beautiful youth of America. We made those mistakes. So you didn't have to. There's even photographic evidence.
I mean,
it's okay.
If it comes back around again, we're going to put a stop to it, right? If we start to see some of like the low rise jeans, we're just going to be like,
it's coming back. It's like the slowly but surely bell bottoms are coming back. It kind of went back into like bootcut jeans, but like I'm starting to see the flare jeans. They've brought back yoga pants, but they're not calling them yoga pants. They're calling them flared leggings. And I'm like, why are we renaming something that already exists?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about what was fashionable back then. And in the 90s, it's a weird time because for me, I was like, the 90s spanned years from like kindergarten through 7th grade. Yeah. So that's like a lot of opinions change in those formative years too. So what I enjoyed wearing and what my friends wore, like that all went from like all the pinks and like the, you know, almost like tutu, like babyish kind of clothes, like all the way up through like preteen teenager stuff. So it's really odd to think about, just like girls fashion through like a little bit of like women's juniors fashion and how it all changed because
I love that during the 90s, I feel, and I could be wrong because I was only alive in the 80s for 15 days, but I feel like before the 90s kids and early 2000s really started to hit those formative years, you had like children's clothing store and you had adults clothing stores. But I feel like somewhere in the like mid to late 90s to the early 2000s, you started seeing like the limited two, like you started seeing a girls version of the adult stores. And then those were, you know, the limited to anytime we went to the mall,
limited to
right there.
I feel like that I have a memory of limited to sort of like around 1997-ish. So maybe it sort of
Yeah.
started mid to late
Yeah.
90s because that was definitely, yeah, you got your inflatable chair going into the like Y2K
Yeah.
era, you got all your glitter nail polish
You
and
could
like,
get all your room
oh
decor, all
yeah,
your faux fur, sparkly room decor.
those dangly
Yeah.
plastic beads for the
Yes. Oh, I
doorway.
had so many of them and they all got in a horrible knot every time.
Yep. Yeah.
Or like the
But
fake doorbells. Did you have a fake doorbell outside your
I
bedroom
didn't, but
door?
I remember them selling those.
I
But
got
yeah.
one and I got so annoyed with it that I finally just took the batteries out. So at that point, it was just aesthetic.
Like people can just knock, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but
But
things like, oh, I'm just looking at my list because I have a list and it runs the gamut. Like
yeah.
I've got my choker on here for like the
Yes.
late 90s stuff.
Busted out my butterfly clips that
Yeah.
you can quite literally buy today, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrifying. But going back to sort of what I wore in the 90s, again, a lot of like from like Velcro sneakers to like trying to wear spaghetti strap tank tops, like
Yes.
those weird years.
Jelly
Um,
sandals,
Jelly
they
sandals.
gave me blisters every time, but I had multiple pairs of them.
Yep. And
Loved them.
I got a lot of hand-me-downs, I'm realizing when I was a kid from like I'm
Mm.
the oldest girl in my family, but I have an older cousin who I got a lot of her stuff. She's 2 or 3 years older than me. And so I was trying to remember like going shopping for things. I don't really have a lot of those memories so much as it's like at my aunt's house and she's like, "Okay, here's a bunch of clothes that Jessica grew out of."
I
And
love
I got
it.
to sort of pick what fit, but also what I liked. And a lot of it was a lot of stuff when I was little. It was like, yeah, pink shirts and sweaters with kittens on them, whatever. But then as I got older, it was a lot of tomboy stuff. I'm realizing, like, I wore
Yeah.
a lot of just like jean shorts and baggy t-shirts.
Yeah.
But when I was really little, I had a thing. I liked wearing skirts and dresses when I was little, like until the age of like 4 or 5, 6-ish. But I wanted to move around a lot, so I wore leggings and skirts.
Biker
So,
shorts under my dresses and
mhm.
skirts every day.
But I
I still
remember,
do it as an adult.
I mean, just like for security right now as an
Yeah.
adult, right? But when you're little, it's just like, oh yeah, I want to run around, but oh yeah, practically. But I remember having this one pair of, I don't even know what to call it because it was leggings attached to the skirt. It wasn't like a skirt, it was
Yes.
actual leggings with the skirt like around.
Yes.
And it was a blue skirt, black leggings, and I used like that was my favorite thing to wear because I didn't have to put all the layers on. It wouldn't like
Yeah.
cinch me a million times. It was just this one thing to wear, but it looked like two things. So
Our
my
generation
sensory
had a
issues.
lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Now I know it's the autism, but like back then I was like, oh, I don't like turtlenecks. And it's like now I know it was a sensory issue that I was like, it's touching my neck. I don't like it. But like our
Oh.
generation, it was like, I know the Dickie existed like
Oh my, I forgot
pre-90s,
about that.
but it's like they took the concept of the Dickie and then sewed it into another shirt because I feel like
Hmm.
the 90s and even going into the early 2000s, it was all about layering the like
Yeah.
long sleeves under the spaghetti top, like strap top, or like vests.
Yeah.
I was a vest kid.
Yes.
I was like, any vest, give it to me. I will wear it with everything. And they're starting to come back now. And I bought my first vest since I was a child. I haven't tried it on. I've been too terrified that I'm going to put it on and be like, why did I spend money on this? I hate it. But it's coming back, man.
Oh man. Yeah. It's weird because especially with girls fashion, the transition from like the girls department to like the juniors
Yeah,
department. So, the kids department, Phoebe's coming up here again to say hello. She's a girl, but she did not live through the 90s.
that's okay.
She might have some opinions though. But the kids department, it was kind of like, okay, you could see you progressively like move up a size, whatever. They're all, kids, girls haven't gotten hips and stuff
Yeah,
yet. So it's
yeah.
just kind of they're all made the same. And then you hit the juniors section and it's kind of tailored where like the top or like the middle is tighter than the top, which is
But
and I
they're
never
all
knew
so poorly tailored because they were
and I
like,
never knew
oh,
how something was supposed to fit me because I didn't
right?
want it to be too tight because I wasn't into like a whole bunch of revealing stuff just as my personal style, but then I didn't want it to be too oversized and look frumpy. So I
Yeah,
in the late 90s, like oh, my awkward teenage years, I had a variety of sizes of things because I didn't know what size I was for any
yeah,
particular type of outfit, especially
yeah.
with layering stuff. Like I didn't know
I
tank
think
top
that
over a
was
short sleeve shirt for some reason. So the tank top
right.
needed to be bigger than the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to my style in the late 90s, I want to say I tried to be more like because I loved Buffy. I tried to
Yes.
be more like, Buffy couldn't wear the tank tops to school without something underneath them, but I wanted
Yeah.
to be like look like Buffy, but my style fell more into the realm of Willow with like
Yeah.
the big bulky sweaters and yeah.
Yeah. I was tall. I'm 5'9", and I'm pretty sure
Oh
I
wow.
was 5'9", close to middle or high school. Like I
Okay.
was tall.
Okay.
So number one, buying pants was nearly impossible because unlike men pants, women's pants don't go by like waist and inseam. You just get a size number and that's it.
Random numbers.
Yeah, so they were almost always too short. They almost never fit right until I started, and bless my mother understood why it was happening because my mom's only a couple inches shorter than me, but started shopping at the Buckle for jeans because they would size jeans like men's jeans with a waist and an inseam size. They're so expensive, and I never got the fancy ones, but like each semester of school, my mom would let me go get like one or two pairs of buckle jeans so they would fit. And that
Okay.
way I could get them real long so they'd touch the floor, and I'd get my giant bell bottom flares and just,
Yeah. My sister is a tomboy and she was like I think I never had a pair of Jinko jeans, but she
I
did. And
never
she had a
did
pair of
either.
like the off-brand style, like the really wide leg, like
Yeah.
excessively wide leg jeans. But now I kind of dig that now because if I don't want to carry a purse, I feel like for practicality's sake, women's clothing doesn't have pockets that are usable a lot of the time.
No,
And
it's gotten
back
better,
then,
but
yeah, it's gotten better, but back then, when I started carrying a purse or whatever, I felt like I was carrying a backpack and a purse in middle school for some
yep.
reason. I just need to separate like my lip glosses and everything from my pencils, and I just needed to
Yeah.
have the purse for like the girly things. And then, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, this looks kind of cool, I
This
guess.
is
But it
like
was
this
never,
thing I saw.
I was never really into, I was developing my style my
Mm,
style, right? My fashion sense. And I still don't know that I have a fashion sense. It's just, just a bunch of stuff I like. And I never really think about when, like, if it's going to look good as an outfit. So,
I used to be so hung up on that as a kid. Like,
mm,
and I think I tried so hard to try and fit what, because I was in Catholic school in the 90s.
okay.
And so I was around a very specific demographic of people.
Did you have
And
the uniforms? Like,
yeah, so like
okay.
school, the uniforms were like uniform across the board. But like when we would have like after school activities or like things like that, or like somebody would have a birthday party, like
Hmm.
I I don't think they realized it at the time, but like I was one of the poor kids at Catholic school. And I feel like that's not even a real thing because it just costs so much money to go to private school. And I bless my parents for doing it.
Hmm.
I won't lie, it was I do think it was a semi better education, but in the long run, I did not enjoy it there. I did not enjoy the kids I was with, but like I feel like as a kid, every time I took a swing, like if I saw something I loved, I remember when I I think it was like the tail end of elementary school or beginning of middle school, I found these boots, and it was they were like these maroon snakeskin like heeled boots,
Ooh.
and I fell in love with them. I was like, these are so cool. It's like what the Spice Girls wear. It's going to be so awesome. And I wore them one time and kids made fun of me. And then I never wore them
Oh,
again. So I feel like because of that, I stopped taking big swings with my wardrobe and kept things incredibly simple until I hit probably until I hit college or post college. I feel like even now in my 30s, I'm really truly finding my style, and I'm learning to just get the things that bring me joy. Like,
yeah.
just like, because I don't care if I look amazing in it, but if I feel good in it and I'm like, this is so quirky and I love it, great.
Yeah.
Like, I get more compliments when I don't necessarily care about what I throw on my body than when I try and carefully curate exactly an outfit for an event.
Is there a term for that? Like, it's not Murphy's Law. There has to be a term for it
No,
though,
I
because
think,
that happens to me. Like, if I just put my hair in like a messy bun, somehow it looks
yeah,
like the perfect messy bun and I get a compliment. Whereas if I really try, I end
you
up
try
looking
and do it
like
one
have
day.
that weird
Yeah,
onion thing on top of my head. No.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
something
it's,
about putting so much effort into it and then it not looking quite right and you feel a little awkward versus just not caring and it all comes together and
yeah.
then yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We should
When I
figure out a
buy
term for
things
that.
now, I buy them for comfort, and I'm like, oh, that's cute, but is it comfortable to wear? And it's like, oh, great, it's
Hmm.
both. Like I have, and I thought for sure I would never do it. And honestly, I think it's only because it started becoming a fashion trend right now with Gen Z is elastic waist pants.
Mm.
Because to us, elastic waist pants were grandma pants.
Yep.
So
They were
it
either
was
they were
either,
leggings or
yeah,
they were like the grandma
yeah,
pants.
grandma pants or sweatpants, like
Yeah.
no middle ground with that. But like now it's all started to come around. And I feel like, except for my jeans, every pair of pants I has an elastic waist and it's so comfortable. And everybody's like, oh my God, I love your pants. And I'm like, thanks, they're so comfortable. Like,
So
why?
where do you get these comfy pants? Because I for the longest time like I did the leggings thing and then because I
Yeah,
for whatever reason sensory wise I didn't like the jeans that like the hand-me-down jeans. They were
yeah.
uncomfortable. I couldn't move in them. They were constricting. I didn't like them. And then I hit like I don't know 10, 11 years old and all I would wear were jeans and jean
Mm-hmm.
shorts.
Jeans and t-shirts. I went
Yeah.
through multiple years of just jeans and giant t-shirts. I do not recommend this. I know it is so bad for the environment, but I also don't have a lot of money because millennials just we
Because
just
millennials
don't
just don't.
we will rent the world for the entirety of our life.
Hmm.
Um I do Shein because they have measurements. Like if you click on a size on their website, it has all these measurements on there. And so I keep updated measurements in my phone. Every couple of months or so, I'll just double check. And I've had really good luck with it. But yeah, like I get, I feel like I'm back in that childhood form of just wanting to wear what's comfortable.
I feel like
But
a lot of people are though,
yeah,
because you see like all this athleisure wear and like people
mm-hmm,
wearing their workout clothing. Like it's trendy to wear like
yeah.
sweats and a t-shirt and a messy top knot or whatever to just get your groceries. And somehow people look,
I
it's trendy. And I'm like,
I
okay.
did that because I would have like sports after school or dance after school or theater rehearsals. So like I would go to school in sweatpants and a t-shirt and a zip-up jacket because I was like, I don't want to change after school. I can just go straight
Mm-hmm.
in this and be fine.
Yeah. Didn't want
And
to
I
carry a whole bunch of stuff with
yeah,
you. Just
because our
wear what you're
backpacks
gonna
were
wear.
already so heavy because of all
Mm-hmm.
of the textbooks we had to have.
Yeah.
Because
Do kids these days, I just said the
we
phrase
were
kids these
pre
days.
yeah, we were
Do
pre
they have
laptops,
textbooks or is
iPads.
it
I okay, the closest I can get to this is my sister and I have an 11-year age difference. So when
okay?
my sister was in school, they all got like a little Chromebook type
Hmm.
thing, and a lot of their textbooks were like virtually on there, or there was like a website they went to read them. I know there were a
Hmm.
couple classes where she would like have a legitimate textbook, but like her backpack didn't weigh 20 pounds like mine did every time
Oh my
walking out of
gosh.
school, like hunched over.
That's another thing too. I feel like for some reason the cool kids would always do like the one arm
Messenger
backpack.
bag, I loved.
The messenger
Oh
bag,
no,
or
just
just
the
have a
over the
backpack
one
with yeah,
shoulder.
but it was
Yeah.
just the one shoulder. So I was like, okay, how do you do this? And of course, my book bag, it has a whole
Yeah.
mess of books in it, and I didn't know how other kids didn't have the same problem, but I was all like Hunchback and Notre
Yeah.
Dame in it.
Trying to just like
Yeah,
sling it over your shoulder.
like walking like on my side, just kind
Yeah.
of trying to. Am I cool?
I
Is
also played the
scoliosis cool?
saxophone, so I'd have my
Oh,
giant backpack on and then carrying my
oh
saxophone with me, and I
no.
hated it.
Oh no. See, at least
Tried
I played
walking
the
home from
flute,
school like
so
twice, and after the second time, I was like, I hate this. I never want to do it again. And my dad's like, okay, I can pick you up. You just said you wanted to walk, and I was like, I know I don't want to do it anymore.
oh man.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like when you're young you want to be comfortable, and then like in your teens, 20s is like what's fashionable,
yeah,
and
you
we
have
were
to
around a
fit
time where
what
a
is
lot of
cool.
things were like tight fitted or low cut,
Low
or it was
cut,
like it just
so
if
many
you
low
it's
rise
stuff that did
jeans.
not feel comfortable, right? So it was
No.
like you're going for comfort, and then you're like, okay, I guess I'll try this fashion thing, and then you feel kind of awkward in it, and now we're back to comfort because we realize
Yes.
it's
And it's
not
like, no,
worth
I'm
it.
not doing that anymore. I'll find things that are cute and comfortable to wear.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Oh
it's
wow.
because when you're a kid, you have all that peer pressure of like, oh, it's not the right kind of purse or the right pair of shoes. And it's like, yeah, but these are uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, but that's what I'm supposed to wear. I spent
Yeah.
too much time trying to get the the approval of my peers. And if you're a kid
Yeah.
and you're listening to this, just be you, man.
Just be you. Be
Just be
comfortable.
you. Be comfortable. Dress how you want. Do and dress how makes you happy. Like,
Hmm.
you know what
I
I miss? I think maybe the most is the trend of with like the inflatable furniture or just electronics in general, bright colored, see-through
clear. Yes. Thank you.
electronics.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
wanted one of the Mac computers or the Mac
Yeah.
laptops like Elle
Yeah.
Woods had in Legally Blonde
Yeah.
so bad. But I was a small child and in the 90s did not need a laptop for any reason
No.
whatsoever.
No, I was always a writer from a young age. I would like steal my dad's like printer paper and make books out of them. But after a while, like he had like an old laptop. Um, that it was like this big brick of a thing that it
Mhm.
wouldn't go online, didn't do anything. I could play Minesweeper and I could do word processing, and that was about it. And he gave it to me because I would like hog the family computer and want to do creative writing stuff. And I guess they thought, okay, well, she's exercising those creative muscles, like we want to support that, but we need to use the computer ourselves, so let's give her this sort of hand-me-down laptop. But that thing, it was huge. But
Great.
I remember like the computer lab when it got those, were they called iBooks? They weren't, not the laptops though. It was like maybe the first iMac, but they were the big
Oh,
bubbly blue ones. The computer lab had like the
yeah.
big bubbly blue ones, and it looked so futuristic
Yes.
and cool. And I feel like the
I
90s and 2000s was a lot of like futuristic kind
it's like
of,
retro futuristic. Like
yes, yes.
it's that idea of like the Jetsons. Like it's got that
Xenon Girl, the
50s.
21st
Yeah,
century.
it's got that
Yeah.
50s silhouette, but it's all got like
Like
shiny
the sick
chrome on it
like the
or,
60s, like roundness of domes
yeah.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but I feel like it I grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania, but I'm pretty sure this was more of a universal thing. Do you remember the oh, were they called starter jackets? Starter jackets, like sports teams, they would have a
Oh,
small
yeah, like
zipper and you just
yeah.
pull them over, and they were like windbreaker material,
Yeah.
and for some
So
reason
much
everybody
windbreaker
had
material.
one. But they were never in my school. It wasn't like a whole bunch of Eagles fans had a whole bunch of Eagles jackets. It was just
No.
random. Like you got the Hornets, you got the Eagles, you got
You
like
got the
random
Chicago Bulls.
teams.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
I feel like that was fashionable back in like 97,
yeah.
98 era.
So many windbreakers and
Yeah.
sweatsuits.
Oh, not even sweatsuits, but just like the athletic, the track pants, the
Yes.
windbreakery, the
Yes. Or
track
like
pants.
or the when we morphed into the matching velour, like we were from friggin' New Jersey, like
Oh, I feel like
matching
was
velour
like the Juicy
sweatsuits.
Couture stuff. I feel like that
Yeah,
was that 2000s? I feel like that was more of like a 2000s
that's it's
Paris
but
Hilton
we
kind of
had no
thing.
business wearing velour
No,
sweatsuits. What were we gonna
no,
go do? And
no. I was a big fan of overalls, like back to
ah,
tomboying it, like even in the 90s, and
I
even now, just like overalls.
I
Um,
had overalls that had patches on them, so it had like smiley
yes,
faces and rainbows and like peace signs. Oh, I
I
love those
s-
things.
I sewed patches. Now that you're reminding me, I sewed patches onto my jeans and
Hmm.
overalls and in my backpack too. Like that was the cool thing in
I
middle school
still
was to like
love.
use a whiteout pen
Yeah,
and decorate like your notebooks and your
any
backpack
and
and write on
everything.
stuff and then
Get
just
bored
put
in class,
patches and
white out your
stickers over
nails.
everything. Oh, yeah, Sharpie and whiteout nail
Sharpie and
polish.
white out. How many people absolutely destroyed pairs of Chucks that their parents spent way too much money on by sitting in class and drawing on them with Sharpies? And like back then, I was like, yeah, that's so original and artistic. And now I'm like, that was an expensive pair of shoes you just drew all over.
Yeah, although I would still probably do it.
I would too. I would
I
too.
wrote quotes all over my jeans. Like I
Mm-hmm.
went through in high school now, we're talking like 2000s now. I went through like my punk goth type phase, like the
Yeah.
hot topic
You had to
phase.
be really deep about everything.
But even then it was like, yeah, poetry and song lyrics and
Mm-hmm.
the baggy jeans and the shirts that had like the oh, was it just called Evil Bunny? There was that cute bunny that always said something
Yes. That always
sarcastic.
said something sarcastic and kind of terrifying.
Yeah. It's like something cute but also terrifying. I feel like that was the aesthetic there.
Look,
But
we were the teenagers that Gerard Way said scared the crap out of him
yes.
in that song. Like
Yes.
that was us.
Hmm.
That's what I love to bring up. Be like, hey, you remember that song about teenagers being scary by Green Day? Or no, My Chemical
I love
Romance?
My Chemical Romance.
That
I still
was
do.
us.
But I feel like it's just self-expression, right? It's just
Yeah.
fashion. Like it wasn't it was like the I don't want to say counterculture, but it was like the the alternative fashion
Yeah.
to when you didn't want to wear the low cut jeans and the short
And
crop
the
tops and all that
polos
stuff. It was
and
just that was just like let's be artistic and comfortable and black matches everything. So that was my
mm-hmm.
mindset. Where it's just like
Yeah, I
this looks kind of
was
cool and it's just I kind of felt invisible after a point, I
yeah.
guess. It like teenage years because I tried the fashion thing. Nothing really quite looked right on me. I didn't feel comfortable in it. Just something wasn't clicking there. So I was just like, oh, okay. Well, these kids they're expressing themselves through their fashion and their clothing this way. It's not the normal thing. So I want to stand out a little bit. Like yeah, that became sort of my more of my aesthetic and melded into my identity is just
Yeah.
like oh yeah, go against the grain a little bit, but I was never too daring with it, but it was I did dabble in
I always
the
had
fake spiked bracelet thing
yeah.
and
I always wanted to be one of those girls because I had some friends who were, and I tried, and I was like, I just feel like I look like a poser. And they're like, no, you look so good. And I'm like, I feel weird.
oh
I feel like I don't actually belong here because I like following the rules and I like
that
having
was
structure. I am I am not an anarchist, but now as an
no
adult, I'm
I
like, you know
wasn't
what? Burn it
either.
down. Burn everything down.
I wasn't either. I was also rule follower, nerdy girl, but
I
I think
was
that's part of
the
me. Like, I felt a little
eldest
more
daughter.
rebellious. So I wanted to be perceived that way, I
Yeah,
guess. But
my rebellion.
speaking of rebellion, I wasn't allowed to like dye my hair until I was 18
Yep.
and pierced ears. That seemed like a fashion statement just in general. Piercings was a big
Yeah.
controversial thing growing up. And it still kind of is, I guess, for just a stage of growing up. But in the 90s, it was like I wanted to get those like clip-on earrings never looked right, and I
Yeah.
wanted to look
And they
pierced.
hurt.
So they had these magnetic earrings for a while too, but
Mhm.
they hurt worse than the
Yep.
piercings. So I was 10 years old when I first got my ears pierced. And like that felt like too late for me. It was everybody else already had their ears pierced. And
Right.
then I wanted to get the second hole, and then I wanted to get so I've got three piercings in each ear now. But I
I've
feel like
got
it was a lot of
I've got
The,
3 in each, but like I've
Mhm.
got a daith in one and a cartilage in the other, and I've got my nose
Oh,
pierced. And like it's the older I've gotten, the more I just want more. I got very lucky. My best friend in kindergarten, her mom and dad let her get her ears pierced for like a random holiday. It was like Easter or something. And they were
mm.
like, yeah, you can get your ears pierced. And I would not leave my mom alone. I was like, please let me get my ears pierced. Let me get my ears pierced. And she was like, no, not now, not now. And then finally at the end of that year, they let me do it for my birthday.
Mm.
And I it was an event. I
Yeah.
thought I
Tell me
regretted it
more.
immediately after. I mean, it was before. Nowadays, anyone who's listening, if you want a piercing, go to a tattoo shop with an actual piercer.
Yes.
Do not go anywhere that pierces with a gun. They're so dangerous. Please don't do that to yourself. But in the 90s,
You went
that's
to Claire's
what
in the
we did.
90s.
Yeah, you went to Claire's or like a friend of
Although
a friend
although
or
I didn't. That was the big deal is my
oh,
mom has sensitive ears and she had a nickel allergy and she was afraid I
mm-hmm.
would too. So she's like, "No, you can't just shoot this thing through your ear in Claire's. It's not sanitary." So I actually got my ears pierced at the doctor's office of all places. They had like these
That's
little medical
insane.
kind of device. Yeah, it wasn't a gun. They had like these weird medical device pressure things. And I feel like I had an allergy to nickel too, but it was something also with gold. So like my ears got
Yeah.
really red and inflamed, even
Yeah.
though I did it the right way. And then when I just got my third piercing at a tattoo parlor, hi mom, if you're listening to this, that's how I got my third piercing. With titanium, fine. It's
Yeah.
fine, 100%
Yeah.
fine.
And like that's my favorite is I would always have to buy like even at Claire's like the ones that were labeled like for
Nickel
sensitive
free.
skin
Mm-hmm.
earrings. So most of what I wore was silver. And like growing up, that's all I wore. And I was just like, I just became so anti-gold because I equated it with like it hurting my ears or like
Yeah,
turning my skin
getting it
green.
green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
I
now I'm just like, give me all the gold. I love it. It's all I want to wear.
But like when I was 10 years old and I got my ears pierced, like when I hit the double digits, okay, 10 years old, that's when you can get your ears pierced.
Yes.
As soon as I was allowed to change out the studs, I wanted to wear all the dangly earrings. Like Clarissa, you know, those big statement like peace
Big
sign, rainbow.
crazy medallion.
The
Yeah.
sparklier, the more colorful, the better. And I feel like at that point, it was like that's kind of how I was expressing myself was through the earrings, not so much like the rest of my clothing, but the earrings. I'd be like, which ones do I want to wear today? Who do I want to be today? And it was all in the earrings. So I had a whole bunch of ones that I had to replace the posts to make them like hypoallergenic or
Mhm.
whatever. But
Do
and
you
I would wear them. I had
remember
like the most outlandish things, but I
all
thought it
those
was cool.
like spongy? They were like wax, but they looked like spikes and they were all like neon
Yes.
colors. And you could get like
Yes.
studs or like necklaces.
I
Oh man.
definitely had pink, blue, and purple ones of
Yeah.
those for my ears.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, something about like the plastic jewelry too of like
Yeah.
it was in our youth and then somehow it got popularized again and now it's
Yeah. Now
still kind of
resin is
popular
everywhere,
with the
which is,
resin.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel like it's just everyone makes fun of millennials because everybody's like, oh, millennials just want to live in their childhood. And it's because
Well,
it
because our
was
childhood was better
it was the
and we were
last time that
promised
we
so,
didn't
so
have
much.
any major concerns happening in
Yep.
our life. And it was, for the most part, the only chunk of our lives where a once in a lifetime historical event hasn't happened every other week.
Hmm.
So we all revert back to it. Also, because most of us growing up in the 90s, especially if our parents weren't made of money, we didn't get all the cool toys that some of our friends got, or we didn't get all
Hmm.
these things. And now I have adult
Now we
money.
have adult money. Yes, I was just gonna
Now I
say.
have
Now we
adult
have
money
adult money.
that I can spend on whatever I want. And I feel like I love, especially, I know Etsy's not as great as it used to be, but like finding those small creators and like finding them making jewelry that's like the jewelry of our
Yes.
childhood, but it's more elevated and it's better quality. So it's
Yes.
like this is going to last for so much longer than the 2 times I could wear it before. And like, I love it. I
Yeah.
love
It's
getting those goofy, weird earrings that don't match anything you're wearing because
um,
Why
Yeah.
not?
I mean, do you think it's that fashion is kind of cyclical because of nostalgia? Like, do you think it's just people who grew up, they want to revert to their childhood, so every 20 or 30 years, the trends just kind of come back
I
around?
think that could be very well part of it because I mean, a lot of the designers now are, up and coming designers, a lot of them are millennials. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, um, I found this during the pandemic. It was one of the coolest things I found, and I've never bought one, but there was this random guy who had a lot of women in his life, and he always heard them like complaining about their jeans and like how, and for men, I don't think you guys experience this a lot. If I said I wore a size 10, that doesn't mean that every time I go to buy clothing, I just buy 10
No.
because a 10 in every different store is a completely different 10.
And
Like
in different
it's
cuts too. Like you
it's
got the
different
wide leg, for some reason the
cuts.
waist is different
The
even.
it the hips may fit you, but the waist is too big, so you have to try and
Mm-hmm.
cinch it in. And like this guy decided that he wanted to make jeans for women, and like for months and months and months he was like taking suggestions, and they were like, can you reinforce the like upper thigh area, because every pair of jeans I have, from all the friction, that's the first place I would get holes in my jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, can you make it so it's a little bit adjustable up top? And like, and I was like, that's astounding. And I think some of that is the stuff that we used to have didn't fit right. And now there
Yeah.
are designers who are like, this was a great idea, but horrible in concept. Can I make it better?
Yeah.
And I think some of that just goes along with, I feel like Gen Z is the generation of like rediscovering things and they think they invented it. Like, have you noticed some of those trends that are like, it's like, they're like, oh, it's this cool new way to like, if they're like, you could do a bun and you can roll it up in a sock. And it's like, guys,
Yeah.
it's not a cool new trend. Or
Even
like the flared leggings. And I'm like, these already existed. They were
yeah.
called yoga pants. But I
Yeah.
feel like now the kids are like, look at this cool thing. And I'm like, yeah, we did it.
We did it.
We did it, guys.
Oh man. Like
But
fanny packs or
yeah,
belt bags or whatever they're called, they're
okay.
really trendy now. I
I
feel like
was
the
so
90s.
against it because I was like, no, fanny packs are dumb. We always knew fanny packs were dumb. But I finally bought one because this summer we went to a couple outdoor markets.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Best thing ever, right?
I love it. I bring that thing with me everywhere. It's just like a little crossbody. It sits right here on my stomach. Everything is within reach. It's brilliant. So you know what? Well done. Well done, everyone,
Yeah.
for
Yes, well done.
reimagining how a fanny pack can be.
Oh man. I'm just like looking at my notes here. Oh geez.
I only have
We
two big ones left. So if you
okay.
have anything else,
I feel like makeup a
yeah,
lot. Like
I was going
growing
to
up,
talk about smackers.
yeah, again, like wasn't really allowed to wear a lot of make. I didn't even start
Mhm.
wearing eye makeup until like high school. But in the 90s, it was all those flavored lip glosses and glitter, like the body glitter, the body sprays, like everything needed
Bath
to smell like candy. And Bath and Body Works
Bath and
was the
Body
place to
Works.
go.
You could get, it would look like kind of how you can get like the roll-on biofreeze is the best way I can
Yes.
describe it.
Oh
But
my
it was
God.
it was real tiny and had a little screw-on cap, and you would unscrew it and it was just filled with roll-on body glitter. And we
Mm-hmm.
used to just coat
Everywhere.
ourselves in the bathroom. You'd
Everywhere.
go and just like
That's
glitter
coming back too,
everywhere.
though. That's coming
Yeah.
back too. And I saw
Yeah.
like these little glitter pots or whatever
Yeah.
at Ulta. I'm like, I got one from Claire's for like 99 cents, and
Yeah.
I used to think I was the best thing in the world, and I used to put it on my eyelids just
Yeah. Or
instead of
like
eyeshadow.
that kind of in between like a lip oil and a lip gloss that would also be in like the
The
roller
rollerball
things.
thing,
And it was
yes.
just everything would stick, your hair would get stuck in it.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I became a matte girly because of all of those nightmares. And then now glosses are coming back, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try it. And I'm like, oh, I do forget how much I like how gloss looked.
But like matte makeup in the 90s was popular too, like the brown lipsticks and stuff, like the
Yeah, the like
neutral
deep
matte.
browns,
Yeah.
concealer lips.
Oh, I never went
Um,
that far.
I
I
tried
bleh.
one time and I was like, I look like a crazy person. I will not. But like MAC has started re-releasing some of their like old retired shades, like the
Okay.
frosted lipsticks.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
yes.
I was all about anything that was frosted, the frosted like
Oh,
eyeshadows, the frosted lip glosses. You put some glitter on with that and you were ready to go.
oh no, the scented roll-on glitter was
Yeah.
my thing. Like I had this vanilla rollerball thing, and I was just silver glitter every freaking where.
I think my favorite one, it was a blue one. I can't remember if it was like a blueberry or a cotton candy, but
Mm,
all the time everywhere.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
think shiny things. I don't know what it is. Like something futuristic, shiny. That always sort of stuck with me, I guess. Like in
Yeah.
terms of
And
style. Even when we're talking about like electronics and like that sort of aesthetic, like for some reason that I I'm still a fan of that sort of thing.
yeah,
Um,
I love how you can see the inner workings of things. Like I really
yeah,
enjoyed it. Like I loved the like
the
see-through
clear
phones in the
phone.
90s.
Yes.
Oh, I always wanted one. The closest I got was I got like a lime green one that was like kind of opaque. So like I could kind of see things, but
Hmm.
yeah, like that and like this the inflatable furniture. I had inflatable furniture in my room and I got very lucky. One of my presents as a small child, my dad built me like we didn't have a tree to have a tree house, so he built me like a little playhouse in the backyard
Aw.
and I had inflatable furniture in my playhouse out in the weather. Like
I was
I
just
grew
gonna
up
ask,
in
it's like
southern Indiana.
one splinter from the wood and
Yeah, those things
hitting the
honestly,
futon.
any of that inflatable furniture, you'd blow it up and within a couple days there was a hole in it somewhere and you would sit in it and just slowly
Hmm.
sink to the floor.
I
But we
won one of
had to have
those
it.
from it was one of those magazine subscription selling
Hmm.
prizes or something. I sold enough to get an inflatable chair, and yeah, I had one sleepover and we were all like climbing in it, playing video games, and like the next morning, like it was just on the floor. It was just the
Yeah, I
so,
will
and then you're trying to figure
say
out where the hole was to salvage it because it came with a
you
small
could, yeah,
repair
you could put
kit.
the little like
The
duct
little
tape over
patch.
it. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
man. But
man.
you know what? I saw an inflatable chair for $5 at Target, and my inner child was like, "You
Hey,
should get it. You should get it. You should get it. You should get it." I did not
between
because I'm
Target
trying to be
and Five
responsible.
Below, I keep seeing like 90s kids stuff, and I'm like, I could buy it and no one could tell me no. And then I'm like,
I
but what am I gonna do with
mhm.
it?
I keep using the excuse that it's like, "Oh, it's for your inner child. You never had that when you were younger. You can get it now." But it's like, no, maybe it's just excessive.
Yeah, every once in a while I'm like, I never got one, I'm getting one. And then I buy it and I'm like, ah, I did it. And then I'm like, okay, what do I do with it now?
The thrill is in the chase sometimes. The
I
thrill is
got
in the
it. All right.
chase.
Who can I give this to?
Yeah.
Um, the last one I had
Mhm.
that I think quite literally may have controlled most of my childhood.
Oh,
Beanie Babies.
in terms of fashion?
I mean, in terms of trends,
Okay.
like I know that is technically a toy, but I also feel like when they started making the like mini ones that you got through like McDonald's or like they'd make the
Yeah.
keychain ones, like I feel,
They became decor after a while. You put them
yeah,
in like your locker or
yeah.
yeah, hang them out. I had hung mine. Here we go. Hang on. One
We'll
sec.
touch on this more in our toys episode, but like I couldn't not. There is a whole box of mine in my mom's basement and I need to get
Yeah.
them out.
So these are legit vintage. This one was from like
Yes.
1996. This is like my mini backpack. And then I
Yes.
had my little
The
pig
pig.
beanie baby. I would hang him
Yes. Out the side.
inside,
Yeah.
out the side. For anybody who's watching or for anybody who's listening, I'm hanging a pig beanie baby out the
Yeah.
side. But yeah,
I
tiny
feel like
backpack.
they started as like collectible toys and then they just morphed
Mm-hmm.
They just kept going. And honestly, it's still going today because like you can go almost anywhere and they have a rack of like those. Now they're like big, fluffy, sparkly, like animal things, but like
Yeah. Oh,
they're
what are they
still
called?
tie. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so funny because I remember being like, oh, which one am I going to put in my locker this year? Or like, oh, what keychain am I going to
Mm-hmm.
put on, my purse? Or
Yeah.
it just kind
Something
of,
something else too. That I wasn't too into, like, I know girls who are all out, but I liked a lot of rainbow stuff, and Lisa Frank,
yeah,
I feel like,
Lisa
bridged the
Frank,
gap between sort of like the school supplies and then the plushies and the
everything.
fashion.
Yes.
But that aesthetic, like the big candy looking, like the, yeah,
Just
how do you explain
bright
it? Yeah.
neon technicolored with animals
Mhm.
because I was an animal kid. I was like, give me all of the folders with cute puppies on them. But like it wasn't just school supplies, like there like you'd branch off into more things like stickers or little decor, or like I used to love to
Mhm.
get the like faux black velvet and you'd like color them in and they were like posters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I would put those everywhere. And now I love that Lisa Frank has slowly been making a comeback because I'm like,
Hmm.
every little kid deserves to have as much
Yeah.
Lisa Frank as they
Yeah,
want.
with my oh, here we go. I was just gonna say little me with my side ponytail and scrunchie, and
Yeah.
then
Scrunchies,
scrunchies
one of the
never stayed in my
few,
hair, really. Never stayed in
mine,
my
it would
hair.
always slide out
Yeah, I needed like the actual like hair tie and then a scrunchie over top
over
of
it.
it.
Yep.
Yeah,
My
again,
hair was
like
always too thick for just a
yeah,
scrunchie.
the double layered stuff where it's just like, this doesn't feel practical. Why am I doing this? So like, make it one thing. Um,
I feel
but
like
yeah,
the only two absolutely unforgivable trends that are coming back that I cannot support, we've already talked about the super low rise pants. They're
yeah,
dumb.
no,
Don't. They're
no,
just dumb. I'm so
no one
sorry.
wants to see that.
Well, and like they're uncomfortable. Like, I'm going to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest with you. I don't care what you say, whether you are curvy or not,
Oh
your
no, in
butt is
general,
going to
no
stick
one wants
out
to see
of
your
those
butt crack. I'm just what I'm
pants.
saying. No one wants to see
Like,
that. No one wants to see your butt crack.
don't do it. It's not worth it. But the second one that has come back that I hated the first time they came around are bucket hats. I and I think it's because I have a ton of hair. I have very thick hair, but I also have a big head, which I got from my dad. Thanks, Dad. So I've never been able to really be a hat person because I can't ever find hats that fit me well. But like, I never liked the bucket hats. And I
Yeah.
think it's because I associated them when I was growing up. Um, I played tennis,
Uh-huh.
and one of my friends, her dad was Australian, and he was so great, and like we became really good friends with family. But like I started associating bucket hats with him, and then I associated it with Australia, and then I associated it with like Steve Irwin, and I was like, bucket hats are not everyday hats. Why are we doing this?
Mm.
And now I know, again, it's the autism, but I was like, they're dumb. Why are we wearing them? And they've started to come back, and I'm like, they're dumb.
I've I've
They're
just
fishing hats?
I've just
They're
never
modeled after fishing
yeah.
hats.
I've just never been a hat person in general. I think because like, again, got a lot of hair, it's constricting, I get sweaty, and then if you take the hat
Yeah.
off, then you can't
Your
like
hair's
there's
messed up
it's
and
just messed
it's,
up. Like
yeah,
there's no recovery from that in public. So I just felt like you had to wear a hat all the time if you were going to wear a hat, and it was never comfortable for me, so
I
I never did.
just want to be one of those really chic girls who wear the like wide brim hats in the fall. Like that's all I want. But my head is too big unless I buy
Oh,
men's hats. And then they're usually not as cute because they're men's hats. So, but yeah, the
yeah,
bucket
but
hats are making a comeback. And I'm like, why are we doing this?
I don't
I'm
know.
double check me. I could 100% be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure in one of the Olympic kits for one country, one of the outfits had matching bucket hats. And I don't remember if it was Australia or not, because if it is, that's hilarious
I
because
don't
my
know.
brain automatically.
Do we want to fact check this? Do you want to fact
We
check
can
this
fact
now?
check
Or
it,
I have no idea
but
offhand.
I'm almost positive I saw that this year and I was like, stop it. this this has no place here.
Uh, I'm just getting a whole bunch of like Olympic, like bucket hats with Olympic logos on them. You know what I'm searching, but
Big kit
it's like, stop trying to
bucket
make fetch
hat.
happen. It's not going to happen. Stop
Exactly.
trying to make bucket hats happen. They're not going to happen. Or how about, were they considered bucket hats? They were a little larger than bucket hats, and they had like Blossom had the
Yeah, the big
flowers in
floppy
front.
hats.
Yeah, the floppy ones. I don't, yeah. Now we're gonna go, now we're going to go down a research rabbit hole and look up the history of the bucket hat. Uh, that's what I'm gonna do anyway, because that's how my mind
Yeah.
works. I want to know everything about everything.
Yeah, like it's slowly coming back. And like that was one of the few trends of the 90s that I was like, stop it.
Because it
We
didn't even
don't
really
need
keep the sun out of your eyes. Like there was
no,
no
because
real
there were
point
all
to
the
it.
holes in it for ventilation purposes.
And like
And
the
then
brim
the
wasn't that
brim
wide.
was
Yeah.
only like this wide.
Yeah. If I didn't like the look of it and if I didn't think it served a purpose, I wasn't wearing it.
Um, tiny sunglasses.
They're coming back.
Tiny colored sunglasses. They're coming back. But I do remember owning so many pairs of tiny colored
Mm-hmm.
sunglasses, usually in the shapes of ovals, sometimes long
Yes.
rectangles.
Yeah.
Again, along the lines of that like retro futuristic
Mm-hmm.
vibe. Um,
Oh man. What about weren't I feel like Oakleys were popular in the
yeah,
90s.
yeah, they started becoming popular again. Um, and belts, wearing belts with things that don't need a belt.
Oh, like just if you just want to
Dresses,
cinch the waist, just put a
yeah,
belt
or
on.
like an oversized top and you'd put a fashion belt
Yeah.
on so it would give you shape. Um,
Yeah. Oh
tiny
man.
purses, tiny purses that you could barely fit anything in. The
Yeah.
tinier, the better. Honestly, I think it's so funny that we were the generation of let's make everything as tiny as possible. And
And
that's
that's come
how,
back around though.
yeah,
It's like the
that's how,
Razor phone is back with a
yeah,
vengeance, and you can, it's a
like,
flip phone, but you have the
yeah,
double screen. But yeah, the phones are
yeah.
getting smaller. We wanted the big screen. No, now let's go smaller.
Yeah, like we wanted the mini everything, and then it started to be like the bigger the screen, the better. And so it reversed, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's sliding back into I want the tiniest little, daintiest little idea of like when they made. I finally cut it off when iPod Shuffle made this shuffle that was only the square and
No,
had nothing else on it. And I was
no,
like, that is too far. Like, you've
no.
gone too far.
It reminds me of that sketch, the Saturday Night Live sketch with Will Ferrell and Jimmy Fallon, and I think
Teeny weeny beanie.
Horatio Sands with the, well, it was the teeny thing, and they're in a clothing store, and then he just opens his tiny cell phone, is like,
Yes.
hello.
Oh my God. Yeah. And they have to keep going like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved any and everything that was as tiny as possible.
Yeah.
I don't like
I'm trying to
looking
figure out
back, I'm like,
why.
why?
Yeah,
Did
because
we love many things?
you remove the functionality a lot of the times too, because like for
The
electronics
purse,
anyway,
you could fit like a pen and a lip gloss.
you you fit like, yeah, before
Maybe
we had
your
credit
body glitter
cards.
roller, maybe, probably not. That would be like trying
Yeah.
to force it closed at that point.
You could fit your phone, your collect call phone card
Yes.
thing in
Yeah.
there. That was
Your
about
coin
it.
purse for using payphones.
Yeah. You have a call from Mom picked me up at school.
Hey, I'm at school. I'm done. You need to come pick me up. Okay, bye. It was so funny. In our middle school, we had a payphone in the
Hmm.
lobby, and they wanted us to use the payphone and not the office phone.
Hmm. I use the payphone
And
all
I
the
don't know how
time.
many times I'm like, I don't have a quarter. Can I please use the office phone? And they were like, I guess. And I'm like, it's not like you guys get the coins from the payphone.
Yeah.
I just
I
need
don't
to tell
know.
my mom to come pick me up, please. You can even call her and tell her if you don't want me to touch your phone.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah, oh
man.
man, payphones.
Oh. So I'm trying to think of one last thing, which, oh, I don't know if this was a 90s thing. Let me know. But the Adidas sandals that had like
Yes, the
the
slip-on
really,
athletic sandals.
but they hurt to wear.
Yeah, because like it was all like plastic little
Yeah,
like
the plastic little
cylinder little
nubbies.
nubs in the bottom. I always had to wear them with socks because they hurt
I
my
tried to
feet.
wear that, like I needed to like break them in. Like I remember being
Yeah.
in pain wearing them around the house so that my feet would be calloused enough so that I could wear them out into the world
I feel like
and
that was
look like I
every
wasn't
pair
in
of
pain.
90s and early 2000s shoes. It was like, these are going to hurt really bad until you break them in. And it's like,
And they were all
great.
plastic. It was
How
like the
long does
jelly
that
shoes
take? Yeah.
and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
I totally
wow.
forgot about that. I will not lie though, I'm really glad the Adidas Sambas are coming back. The ones that have the three
Yes.
stripes on the sides.
Yes.
I had so many colors. I had like baby pink, I had baby blue, and like they've come back and I own a pair of the black and white ones. And every time I put them on, I'm like, these are
I need to get
familiar.
I need to get a pair. If I
I
recall
love
correctly,
them.
I didn't have them growing up, or if I did, it was like later on in the 90s, but like they weren't comfortable for me for some reason.
That's
And again,
fair.
comfort is key, like especially with shoes. Like
Yeah.
I don't get me started. I kicked a stride right employee when I was like 5 years old because my shoes weren't comfortable when she was putting them on. But you know, red
Hey,
flags we see in the past were like,
hey,
oh yeah.
look, if I wasn't in gym shoes, I was in flip-flops. And there
Yeah.
was no in between until I hit college.
Although
And
like the
then
Birkenstock sandals that sort of came
that
into
is fair. I
popularity even in like the
did.
late 90s, they had support, they were comfy.
Yeah. But I can still remember my giant flared jeans and my Birkenstock. Well, my knockoffs, mine were Beaver
Mhm.
Creek. But those clogs, and it would be raining and you'd still wear it anyway. And by the time you got inside, like your jeans were like soaked up to the
Yeah,
shins and your shoes were soaked.
the things we do,
we had to
things
be
we do for
cool,
fashion.
man.
We tried so hard and
We
somehow
did.
I
Oh
was
man.
I don't know. I felt like other people didn't have those problems. They obviously did, but I felt like whenever
Yeah.
I tried to be fashionable and cool, something would go wrong with the ensemble and like I would get stuck in the rain and like the long pants would just soak up all the water. It's like,
Just
well, why doesn't my
soak
friend
it.
have that problem? She still looks good. I look like a drowned rat. What happened?
Yeah.
Uh, I could
But
never quite pull it off.
I couldn't either. I was right there with you.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we should
I
probably
think
wrap
those are
it
the
up.
highlights. We've been
Yeah.
talking for over an hour.
I know. But thank you all so much for joining us. We will be
Yes.
back with another episode. But yeah, please join us next time where we talk about more things that were geared toward girls in the 90s and a little bit into the early 2000s,
Yep.
because there was just so much
There's so much
so
to
much
talk
to
about.
cover. And
So,
we are going to have people join us for the next few that we do so we can get even more different takes on what we loved in the 90s. So, yeah, please don't forget. I'm trying to find it. Typical if you want to talk with us, find us on socials. You can find us on Instagram at Splat Attack Podcast. You can also find our YouTube channel, which is Splat Attack Podcast. If you liked listening to this, but wanted to see all of the hand gestures that I 100% talk with, hop on over to YouTube and you can watch the video. And yeah, so interact with us, follow us. It'll
yeah.
keep you updated on what we are doing and what we've got coming up because this is going to be a really fun season and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I have to say it again. This is Kylie's idea. Kylie and Manny had the idea to do the girls' room. And I'm so glad they did because I love the guys. I do. But I feel like if I
We
were
got
to
to get
bust out
some girl
something about,
power
but I feel, yeah.
representation.
I feel like if I were to, whenever we talk about Spice Girls, I love the Spice Girls. Alex wants to kill me
Spice
through
Girls.
my computer screen.
The irony is that unless we come to some other arrangement, I'm going to kill you. That's the irony of it.
No,
Whenever I
the
talk about
Spice
the Spice
Girls
Girls.
were my life. And
So
it's so important because the 90s were like the beginning of girl power and the girl
for
power
our
movement.
generation, yeah.
Yeah,
For our
it
generation, for
was
sure.
where it all started. And it was so important that it was really the first time of women feeling like it was beautiful to be a woman or to be a girl. And
Yeah.
it's so important to cover that.
And that's why, sort
Yeah.
of things like that. That's why I was so glad that you pitched the girls' room because I want a forum where we can safely talk about Spice Girls without getting the death glare. Not that I care. Alex gives me the death glare all the time. But I
It's
feel
okay.
like
I'll
there's
beat
so
him
much
up.
stuff that we're there's so much stuff that we haven't talked about yet, just because I mean, it's me and the guys. So it's nice to have more women on the podcast
Yeah.
and look at what it was like to be a girl in the 90s. So yeah. First episode of the Girls Room. Hope you enjoyed it. We're so excited to continue this mini-sode series, and we'll see you in the next one.
Catch you later.
Bye.
This episode was recorded at Splat Attack Studios in Virtual Home Studios, though none in Florida.